I don't think Canelo would do that. I just don't. I don't think Canelo and Oscar would ever say my name. He said my name, you know, in the media, but not to that magnitude, like a call out or anything like that, man.
Breaking news of Canelo Alvarez giving his reaction to the former undisputed pound-for-pound #1 king, Andre Ward, training Caleb Plant for their undisputed bout coming up. When Canelo was asked what is his take on Andre Ward training Caleb Plant, he responded with, quote, "They both can get it in the ring. No problem." End of the quote. So Canelo tells Andre Ward, both him and Caleb Plant, they can get it. Furthermore, Canelo Alvarez had way more to say. Here is exactly what Canelo had to say, translated by the boxing voice.
Eso, el que está hablando mucho es él.
The one that's talking too much is him.
Se lo voy a cobrar el 6 de noviembre. La verdad es que mis
Hey, go tax him come November 6.
las pongo arriba del cuadrilátero y me gusta hacerlas, soltarlas con inteligencia durante.
So I like to do my leave my emotions in the ring and let go of my shots with intelligence.
Todos estos años he aprendido y creo que la experiencia es la que me da esa paciencia.
All these years, that's what I've been learning, and I think this is what the experience is what it gives me, this patience.
¿No? Y esa manera de hacer las cosas, de obviamente estar con ese sentimiento de quererle arrancar la cabeza, pero
the way of doing things, you know, with the mentality of always trying to take his head off.
al mismo tiempo pues hacerlo con mucha inteligencia.
But at the same time, doing it with intelligence.
Sí, la verdad que sí, ser el primero es algo que nos tiene muy motivados, pues es lo que hemos estado buscando.
Yeah, you know, but being the first to do it is something that's really been motivating us.
Seguir haciendo historia y pues ahora sí que en pocos meses hemos ganado muchos títulos, hemos ganado.
Keep making history. You know, these past few months we've been winning titles.
A lot of titles.
Todos los campeones estamos a un paso de ser
we're one step away from being
uno de los pocos en la historia de ganar todos los
one of the
títulos. Me
few
siento muy contento.
to win the titles, all the titles. We're very,
Además,
very
la verdad es
happy.
que no me preocupa en absoluto, ¿no?
He doesn't worry me in the absolute meaning of the word.
Al final de cuentas vamos a estar él y yo arriba del cuadrilátero y si se suben los dos también no tengo problema.
He said at the end of the day, it's only going to be me and him in the ring, but if they both get in there, I still don't have a problem.
Entonces no me preocupa nada de eso. Se pueden juntar 3, 4 de ellos y no hay.
As you all heard, I don't know who Canelo Alvarez is trying to fool here. Me, you, or himself. Because he knows better than I do. If Andre Ward was still active today at 168 pounds, Canelo Alvarez will not even fight at that division. He won't even fight at 168, let alone fight Andre Ward. I mean, who is he kidding? It's 2021. We all know what time it is. And I could prove it to you. To all of the Canelo Alvarez fans, let me ask you guys a question. When was the last time Canelo Alvarez fought an undefeated Black American fighter? You can take all day to think in order to answer the question. Don't worry, I'll wait. So instead of trolling in the comment section, answer the question. And I could guarantee you, none of the Canelo fanboys is going to answer the question because the answer is something they do not want to acknowledge. They simply do not want to face the truth because it burns their emotional soul deep inside. Now, the answer is obviously 8 years ago is the last time Canelo Alvarez fought an undefeated Black American fighter. And would you believe he lost every single round? He did not even have a moment during the fight. He lost every single minute of that fight. Canelo Alvarez's spark to fame was losing to Floyd Mayweather in an embarrassing fashion. I mean, I never seen it before. Usually fighters win the biggest fight of their career in order to become a superstar. However, Canelo Alvarez lost the biggest fight of his career in an embarrassing fashion, then became a superstar. In other words, he's famously known for losing. However, Canelo Alvarez expects us to believe that he will fight Andre Ward let alone beat him. Even though Canelo at 23 years old, with 40 plus fights, as a unified champion with 8 years experience as a pro, lost in an embarrassing fashion to little bitty Floyd and a grandpa version of Floyd Mayweather at 36 years old, who was really 5 divisions smaller than Canelo Alvarez. Canelo had like 20 pounds natural weight advantage on Floyd Mayweather and still got whooped like there's no tomorrow. And today, Canelo Alvarez expect us to believe he will fight a retired Andre Ward, a fighter his actual size, and beat him, even though he failed miserably against a smaller version of Andre Ward. I mean, the audacity. We all know 1 zillion%. Before Andre Ward retired, he would have beaten Canelo Alvarez so bad, he would have shortened his career and most likely stopped him. In fact, Andre Ward today can still come out of retirement, 5 years plus retirement, fight Canelo Alvarez at 38 or 39 years old, and still whoop him. So put some respect on his name. This ain't the usual European level opponents. Andre Ward have similar to that Floyd Mayweather IQ, skill, athleticism, ability to make adjustments, his footwork, and his defense. I mean, Andre Ward have so many tools to work with. He can beat Canelo with his jab alone. With the facts being stated, we really wasting our time, and I'm wasting my breath even speaking on this subject, because Canelo will never fight Andre Ward. Not because he's retired, but because Canelo only fights European level opponents. He doesn't take on any challenges. He ducks any threat coming his way. He only fought Floyd because that was a win-win situation. He had nothing to lose. I mean, he became famous by losing. Let's not forget, Canelo Alvarez is the pioneer of the NBF Witness Protection franchise. He's the entrepreneur of the No Black Fighters Witness Protection franchise organization belt. Do we really expect that guy, Canelo Alvarez, to fight Andre Ward? I mean, if he really wanted to, he would have had fought Andre Ward by now. Nothing was stopping him but his cojones. See, I challenge any of you Canelo fans to point out one fighter that Andre Ward avoided. Just one. I'm not asking for a list or a dozen. No. Just one. You will find nada. Not a single one. However, there's a mountain of fighters that Canelo Alvarez ducked. So who are we kidding here? If Canelo won't even fight the Fabulous Four of his time, from the Charlo twins to Demetrius Andrade and Benavidez, Canelo turned down his biggest paydays for fights with every single one. And that's a fact. Would you guys believe Canelo Alvarez fought the Smith family from Europe in Texas, but he won't fight none of the Charlo twins that's actually from Texas in Texas, 2 undefeated Black American champions that happens to be 2 of the most popular fighters in the United States, who hang out with the likes of Chris Brown, Drake, so on and so forth. Now, even though their lifestyle is catching up to them from all of the drinking, so on and so forth, at the end of the day, or at least the night, do you guys know Canelo Alvarez invented the NBF Witness Protection franchise organization in order to duck Jamal Charlo? In fact, he gave up his belt to his mandatory Jamal Charlo at the time in order to duck the fight. Then he flew back south to Mexico. Canelo also turned down $40 million guaranteed for Undisputed, his biggest payday, to fight Demetrius Andrade. He also turned down 2 fights with Benavidez, but the moment Benavidez lost the belt on the scale, Canelo stole the belt like a thief by requesting to fight Avni Yildirim for Benavidez belt, a fighter coming off a loss and a 2-year layoff, which by doing so, Canelo ended up losing his DAZN contract for the cherry pick of the century. In other words, if Canelo beats Caleb Plant, he's going to become undisputed. beating Avni Yildirim for the WBC title of Benavidez. But he expects us to believe the cherry pick of the century is going to fight Andre Ward. Sounds like Canelo is trying to outdo Ryan when it comes to capping. With the facts being laid out, a lot of you Canelo fans love to say that Canelo is a different fighter today than when he lost to Floyd Mayweather. Even though I was born to make excuses, Canelo was the same age as Mike Tyson when he was undisputed, the baddest man on the planet. The same age as Oscar De La Hoya when he retired Chavez Sr., who was actually 3 years younger than Floyd Mayweather at the time. Floyd was 36 when he fought Canelo. Chavez was only 33 when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. However, y'all ignore the facts to make excuses for a sore loser in Canelo Alvarez. So let me ask you Canelo fans a question. When was this improved Canelo? Can you guys point it out exactly? Last time I checked, Canelo lost to Floyd, then lost to Lara a year later, robbed him without giving him a rematch, then fought Amir Khan, where he made Amir Khan move up 2 weight divisions just to get outboxed with ease in every single round for 5 rounds before he got the stoppage. A few years later, he robbed Triple G. And this year, he was getting outboxed by Billy Joe Saunders with ease till he got the stoppage in the 8th round. So, where is this new improved Canelo? If you guys being truthful, we still see the same Canelo that fought Austin Trout. The same head movement, the same upper body movement, where his feet is stuck in the mud, which is the same Canelo that Floyd Mayweather beat. The only 2 improvements Canelo Alvarez made is duck every black American fighter and only cherry pick Europeans. Also, Canelo used to have stamina issues. However, he solved that problem by taking Combuterol, a steroid that increases your stamina. And after he got busted cheating, the WBC increased the Combuterol limit so Canelo Alvarez could cheat legally and be allowed to fight. Now, for the people that want to blame it on contaminated meat, that been debunked a long time ago. That was proven to be a lie because the truth is the contaminated meat in Mexico has 2 types of steroids in it. So if Canelo tested positive for Combuterol due to the contaminated meat, then Canelo should have also tested positive for another brand of steroids, the second type of steroids that's found in the contaminated meat. However, Canelo Alvarez only tested positive for Combuterol. That's how we know Canelo Alvarez absolutely lied and completely cheated, which means Canelo is a duck on steroids. So are we really expecting the European assassin, Canelo Alvarez, who's on steroids ducking everybody, to turn around and fight Andre Ward? Yeah, Canelo has a better chance of convincing people that a duck can fly to the moon. With the facts being laid out, drop your thoughts in the comment section below, subscribe below, and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, Akhi, TV. Peace, and I'm on to the next one.